So the woman's at the airport, got all seated early, and there with her magazine and her pack of cookies, and she's waiting for her plane to start to board. And in a moment, a man comes and sits right beside her, and she kind of stays in her own little space. You know how we can be. And she looks over at him, and he's got his hand in her cookies, and he pulls out one and starts to eat it, and she looks at him and gives him kind of an awkward look. Well, in a minute, she looks up, and there he's got another one of her cookies, and she just can't believe it. And then he has the audacity to break it in half and offer her some of her own cookie. Well, at this point, she's just lost it and got up, and they announced that they're now boarding her section. And so she reaches in her purse to get her boarding pass. And when she does, she realizes that those weren't her cookies, they were his, and her cookies were in her purse and had been there the whole time. Does that ever happen to you? You think someone has your cookies and they don't. You think somebody wants your cookies and they're not interested, right? I think that is one of the greatest saving graces of spirituality for me, is to grow into a level of maturity for myself and you for yourself, to understand that we have one great assignment, and that is to be who we are, and to not be in a space of competitiveness, or that there's less than because someone has more than, or if I get a lot of, that means somebody gets a little of. You get where I'm going. For there's one life, and that life is God, and that life is our life right now. Say that with me. There's one life, and that life is God, and that life is our life right now. And it expresses through each of us in a very individuated type of way. You know, we're the only species in nature that ever compares ourselves to somebody else or wonders why it's happening so and happening to this person or that person. If you look at a orange riding on an orange truck, they're just so happy being oranges. You know, they're not looking back wishing they were on the lemon truck. You know, I love watching my dog outside on his back, and he's just into it. You know, he's celebrating like, wow, I'm alive. Oh my gosh, I'm a happy dog. But he never looks up and wonders what the neighbor's dog's doing, or if somebody's looking at it. He's just in that space. There's a story of a man whose axe is stolen, and so he's convinced that his neighbor's son took it. So every time he sees this little boy looks like a thief, he talks like a thief, and he acts like a thief. Until one day, the man finds his axe. And the next time he sees the little boy, he walks like a little boy, and he talks like a little boy, and he is a little boy. Too many people in our society today have allowed themselves to be robbed of their divine potential, of what could be brought forth for them, because of cultures that want to keep us in boxes, because of systems that want to keep us only thinking that our brain has so much of a capacity, or that we can express or demonstrate only so much. And so there's that place within us that we seek to know, as we talked about last week, our wholeness. Thomas Merton said that to all visible things, there is hidden wholeness. I just love that. So as we are moving forward towards Easter, which comes early this year, it's on April Fool's Day. Now that's going to be a teaching. We won't go there today, though. But that being said, we have a couple of weeks to prep ourselves, to prepare our minds and hearts as we're walking towards a new beginning. And so I text my friend Wayne Muller, who in my opinion, has written one of the best books ever written. How Then Shall We Live? Because I told him that we're so excited to do the next couple of weeks his 4 questions. And so he texts back with love to you. But the first question is, who am I? And the second question is, what do I love? His premise is, when we know the answer to those questions, that defines everything about our lives, because that's what we name as valuable and as important. In the beginning of the garden in Eve and Adam named everything, and we've been naming it ever since. What we name is what we claim and what we have a lot of in our lives. Everybody breathe on that. And so when we're looking at Easter, for me traditionally, growing up, Easter, I didn't enjoy it because so much emphasis was put in my outfit, usually clothes that weren't comfortable and they were sticky and not fun, and you couldn't get them dirty, and you couldn't do anything even though you're supposed to hunt Easter eggs. It was all very incongruent. You're supposed to celebrate life never dying, but everybody was sad as if something significant had happened. And so the point is, it just didn't resonate with me. As Reverend Richard would say, it wasn't my river, right? But then when I come into New Thought and I come into unity and the metaphysical understanding that I have this tremendous opportunity, and you have this tremendous opportunity every year to die aspects of yourself so the new you can live. Wow. A divine pruning, yes? It's just very invigorating, and it's very exciting because it's not about the outside outfit, it's about the interior outfit of how we are shape-shifting to a place of a greater level of authenticity and possibilities about who we are. Wow, something very rich and magnificent about that. In Jungian psychology, it says, first you must realize that you are asleep, and then you wake up, and then you die so you can be born. You cannot be born until you die. You cannot die until you wake up. Isn't that amazing? I mean, I get excited about it. It makes me, I don't know, maybe dance, but maybe not right now. But it just really just gets me, because we have free will and choice, that we can tune into what is hanging us and what is holding us back. And in that reality of that kind of experience of what that can be. So what are your questions? Are you sacred or are you secular? Are you weak or are you strong? Are you open or are you closed? Are you ready? Or are you reserved? Are you in love? Are you loved out? What is that place? What is that outfit that you're wearing in your consciousness? What is it would be that next thing that you could invoke and that you could call in? I've been actively working with that these last few months. What is it to invoke? What is it to call in that is mine for me to continue to unfold spiritually, and what would that look like? A very interesting thing happened, because when you ask, it comes. And so a very interesting thing happened. I'll be glad to tell you if you wonder what it was. Thank you, Alan. Is that I have a beautiful necklace that's been very special to me for many years. The board gave it to me when I became ordained as a Unity minister, and it's the wings. And so I love to wear that necklace, and I wore it a couple of Sundays ago, and by the time I got to church, well, there was no pendant on the necklace. It had left. I put some energy into finding it, and nowhere to be found. And so I said to myself, somebody else needs a set of wings, and somebody else will find this, and they are needing that for right now. Well, I was in Santa Barbara last week with AG&T, and we were having meetings. And when I go to my hotel room and I look in my jewelry, I look and I'm just like in shock, because, and I just want to say, I don't usually lose jewelry. I still have the same ring I've had since I was a teenager. Not that you're going to make a note about that about me, but anyway, but I had lost another pendant, the I Am pendant. Wow. I don't know how how it got there. I haven't seen that pendant in about 2 years. And when I open up my jewelry, it pops out. Well, you know, I slapped that thing on my neck, and I haven't taken it off since. But what I became very clear about is that's the presence for me this year, is that I am, bless you, the I am, that presence, that holding that space of I am God's beloved, I am energized, I am powerful, I am open, I am receptive, I am authentic. Put some words in the room with me, okay? This is participatory. Those of you online, write it down. We're going to keep going. Somebody interact. Yeah, I am mighty, I am bold and brave, I am, yes. Absolutely. To be in that space, in the land of the I am. Charles Fillmore would say that is your biggest principle to know, is the I am that you carry, that energy field, that I am that one life, that life is God, that life is my life right now, that essence is unwavering. You know, I am mindful of when Jesus decided, I'm ready, let's do the work, and he brought forth John and he was baptized. He was in that time. I'm ready, I'm here. You have those times in your life, don't you? You're like, I'm ready, I'm here. Wow, yes. And he went out to the wilderness probably so it could just last longer. Because you feel like that. You're like, I don't want to lose this. You know, wow, I'm into this good feeling. The music sounds better. Life sounds better. I love everything and I love everyone. And life is just the immensity of joy. Hold on, here we go, right? And we want to hold on to it. But what happens is just like that metaphysical story with Jesus. We become tempted to go back to old ways, right? Do you resonate? We become tempted to use our power in a way that is not the greatest potentiality in how we serve. And Jesus was so teased, well, if you're all that, why don't you do this? And we feel that way sometimes. It's like, if I am who I am and who I believe I am, then why do I have this challenge in my life? And why do I have this problem in my life? Ever asked that? And it's that space that we want to transcend to a place in our humanity to recognize that these sacred stories build us. And these encounters, the third encounter, the one of the third kind, is to understand that there is something within you and something within me that is greater than anything that we've recognized up to this point. Can you feel that? Can you land that as an anchor for yourself? Thich Nhat Hanh said very clearly that, he said, it's interesting that people feel that they have to die in order to reach the kingdom of heaven. He said, I am absolutely convinced that that is not true. And as a matter of fact, you have to be alive to get it. So our quest is to be more alive. Ernest Holmes, in his book, This Thing Called You, he said, when you're at a place that what you set forth in your life, you're happy that it returns back to you, you're in heaven. You want me to do that again? When what you set forth in your life is out there and it comes back to you and you're happy to see it, that is heaven. You recognize your own consciousness as you. Wow. And that's our quest, is to be mindful of what we set forth, to be mindful of what we put out there. Wayne Muller would talk about how we plant a garden. And many people go to great lengths to get their garden ready. They till the soil, they take the weeds, they get everything ready to go. But they put very little emphasis on what is being planted. He would go on to say that a life repaired is not the same as a life well lived. Powerful. When I was with Michael Beckwith this week, we were sitting around and having this wonderful heart talk. And he was telling me about the beginning of his mystical experiences and an Easter moment that had happened to him. And he said that he had gone into a room and he got this message that he needed to read Psalms 91. And I brought this to you today, just the first 2 lines of it, because I thought this is something also we can say to ourselves as we prepare for this time of letting go and letting be. Shall we? He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. Wow. Something to be called, to be, to experience, to grow into, of that place, of that moment. Wow. There was a king that was in awe of this man, that he created these beautiful pieces of sculpture. They were elephants. And the king called him, summoned him, and said, "Tell me how you do it." And he said, "Well, I get a huge rock. It's a huge piece." And he said, "And I sit in front of it every day and I meditate. And the more I meditate, I start to visualize what isn't elephant. And I start holding what I need to chip away in order for that to happen. And that's how I do it." That's why meditation is so effective for us, is because we're in commune with the Most High. And we're able to chip away what is an elephant in our lives, and that essence and that power. Wow. Are we still here? As my mama would say in South Carolina, you can hear a pin drop in the house. Are you resonating? There's a woman working at a church, and they can't find the password to the safe. I know that's a different talk. So anyway, so she calls out the pastor and she says, "Can you help me? You know, I'm trying to open the safe and I need to make this report and I can't get in." And he said, "Sure, I'd be glad to." And so he walks over and he does a couple of clicks on the lock. And then all of a sudden he just looks up. He just kind of, and he returns and does 2 more clicks and he opens up the safe. And she said, "Oh, I just love it, minister, when you use the power of prayer that way." And he said, "Oh, I do too. But in this case, the combination is up on the ceiling." The combination to your I am, that connection, that password, that ability that you have. Jim Allen would say, let's call it positive quitting. And it's the opposite of what we think, because we've been taught never quit. Winners don't quit. But yet winners quit all the time. They quit what doesn't work. They quit what's holding them back. They quit what's bringing them down. They quit what's in their way to allow the I am presence, that revealing self, to shine. Thank you for being here today. Bless you. Thank you. Thank you.